Welcome to the video answer key for the Treble Clef Ledger Lines above the staff, Lesson 4 quiz. I'll be completing the workbook in real time, so you can follow along and check your answers. Let's get started. Okay, so let's start with the quiz for Lesson 4, Treble Clef Ledger Lines above the staff. Don't forget to put your name and the date. Each question, you can tally up your points and put your total score right here in the box. Number 1, fill in the blanks. This is worth 8 points. When we need notes above or below the staff, we use ledger lines to extend the staff lines. So if you have ledger lines, give yourself 3 points. Ledger lines can be added above or below the staff. So this is worth 1 point each. If you got above or below, give yourself 2 points. Good job. The note names follow the musical alphabet pattern. Give yourself 3 points. Okay. Section 2. Write the note's letter name in the box provided below. This is 3 points for each note for a total of 60 points. Here we have the 5th line, F. We have a ledger line above the treble clef staff, note B. We have a note here on the 2nd space, note A. We have a note here on the 4th space, note E. We have a ledger line here that's above the treble clef staff, which is note A. Then we have our note here on the 1st space, which is note F. We have our note here on the 4th line, which is note D. We have our note here on the 1st line, which is note E. We have our note here on the 3rd space, which is note C. We have our ledger line here above the treble clef staff, note C. Here we have a note on the 4th line, which is note D. We have a ledger line here above the treble clef staff, note A. And here we have a space note here on the 4th space, note E. We have our note here on the 2nd line, note G. We have our note here on the 1st line, note E. We have our note here, which is a ledger line above the treble clef staff, note C. We have our note here on the 2nd line, note G. We have our note here on the 3rd space, note C. We have our note here on the 5th line, note F, and we have a ledger line here above the treble clef staff, which is note B. If you have all of these correct, give yourself 60 points. Section 3. Draw 2 notes, one on the staff and the other above the staff as indicated. We don't have one indicated, so disregard that. And they're worth 4 points each for each note for a total of 32 points. So here for note B, you should know note B is on the 3rd line, and then I drew my ledger line above the treble clef staff for note B. Here I have my note A on the 2nd space, and then I drew my ledger line for note A above the treble clef staff. Here is note C on the 3rd space, and here is my ledger lines above the treble clef staff for note C. And finally on the 2nd line we have note G, and here is my note G above the treble clef staff, just sitting right on top of the 5th line. So if you got all of these correct, give yourself 32 points and a job well done.